Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're live on the Grand Central Sports Hub on this Thursday, March 18th, 2021. Good evening, Diamond Dan.
Good evening, Jay-Z.
Do you remember we took a bit of a break? And do you actually remember the last show we did?
It was the week of the Super Bowl, wasn't it?
It was the Super Bowl preview. And I didn't go back and watch, but I think we did pretty well with that show.
Well, if I do recall, I said we would tease out 6 points on the spread, and it ended up being so Brian, so Tom.
We had our
we were teased. Well, I was like, I was being cautious, teasing out 6 points from that spread, and we ended up, with 30 points. I was like,
so
could have taken 2 touchdowns, man.
I teased it with you, and I was like, this is absolutely wonderful. Holy shit, they're not going to go over, and I took the over with it, and that's where I died on the cross. Again, the star. And that was it. And it was so depressing because I don't know, man, rooting for Tom Brady, like it felt good. It felt right. And
it was right.
It was the right thing.
And they did exactly what you expected them to do, maybe minus the 2 Gronk touchdowns. But, this is, Tom Brady has solidified his space, I think, obviously as, the greatest. And you can make your arguments, whatever. And then, he signs a 2-year deal, which, as a 4-year deal, which could end up being a 2 or 1-year deal. But
listen,
I have no doubt they could go out there and do it again this year.
I already picked them to go back to back in my 14 championship major sport parlay. And the thing is, the one thing we learned, if there's anything we learned from this season, was never bet against Tom Brady. Never bet against Tom Brady. And I don't know, this new Tom Brady is so likable. I don't even feel dirty about it. Like, I like it, and that's okay. So we put that behind. We called it, for the record. This pod, I believe, was off. I believe Matthew as well. We were all in lockstep about this, and we called it. And that's one feather in our cap as we sit here on this Thursday in March. And look, we have the first 4 on TV right now. How great is it that we have an NCAA tournament this year? I have never been into Wichita State and Drake like this before in my life. And Ryan, we'll get to the hockey last night, but I just have to say, when you make a $5 parlay on the first 4 or 3, for me it was 3 of the first 4 games, I'm into it. Wichita State, Drake, go Wichita State. I am all in here. Texas Southern this afternoon. Yes.
Well, you realize that, men aged 18 to 65 for many, many years have been into the tournament. I'm glad we welcome aboard. I have increasingly through the last few years tried to get into it. There was one great time our friend Kyle Edwards. Mm-hmm.
So it's like, we're going to watch day 1 of the tournament. This was like, this is probably 8 years ago, right? I really wasn't into it. We're going to go watch day 1. We're getting to the bar like 10 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to be there all day. That was one of the best sports days I've ever had out. And there's something about this. When they hit the tip tomorrow, that's a great day.
Tip off to one shining moment, brother. And it was, it's been a tradition for me to take off usually the Thursday and previously to that the Wednesday, and go somewhere and watch the games, just because it's usually once, aside from living here now, but it's the day it starts to warm up, the sun is out longer and the days are longer and they're getting longer and all that good stuff. But this is having it taken away last year. Obviously, a year ago we were in sort of a, when the ACC canceled their tournament and I think the Big Ten canceled theirs, they were really trying to play. We had discussions about this relative to football, right, later on in the year. But once the conferences washed out, you knew that it wasn't going to happen, and they couldn't figure out how to do it. And a year later, here we are with a bubble that spans pretty much the entire state of Indiana to make this basketball tournament work, because the NCAA sure wasn't going to the NCAA sure wasn't going to lose another year of sponsorships and live, TV games.
Look at that. Tom Fazlaki got a cutout in the crowd.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's pretty cool. That's awesome. We should and I don't know. So are they? This is a bubble situation. I have not.
It is.
Okay.
So they're playing in several locations around Indianapolis, right? So
okay.
The two, I believe, the first game this evening was at Assembly Hall at the University of Indiana.
So that's why they look like they're in the local gymnasium.
Yeah. So that's Hoosiers.
I got you.
That's where the University of Indiana plays. There'll be games at whatever the field house is called where the Pacers play.
Yeah. Okay.
There'll be games. I think Lucas Oil is being held until like the later rounds, probably to further the bubble. But my understanding is that the reason why the tournament, they used to start on Wednesday, then they started on Thursday to allow for these 60, the four extra teams in the field. First four, which is now the first 8. Or whatever, 8, right? Or teams are playing today. So, you have that was a twist that came in a couple of years ago, which I'm not really that stoked about. But
anything for the extra dollars in the ratings.
Well, the problem is that when you do the selection show and the Big Ten and the ACC and the SEC are all overly represented, and all you have, there's no at-large bid from the Mountain West Conference. So. They're expanding the at-large bids, and now you have a team. I don't even know what conference, whatever, Texas, North Texas, or whatever they are in. I mean, they just knocked off a team that's been to the tournament before. So, you got a lot of there's variables, and everything's going to end up hopefully through the bubble at Lucas Oil for the Final Four.
This is great. I mean, I'm glad we're here after a year where we didn't have anything. And I was just playing back like a show that Seth and I did like a year ago. And we were talking about, baseball in July, 80-game season, this, that, NFL draft. And it's like all of this that the NFL draft happened, the baseball did not have an 80-game season. And now we're here a year later. Nothing's perfect. We're far from a normal, but at least we have some stuff to look forward to. Case in point, the Yankees, New York Mets, New York State announced 20% capacity in time for opening day for outdoor sports. So, I mean, we have progress, and no, it's not where we want it to be, but at least there's something. And this is some good this is some wild basketball on TV right now. By the way, if you have a moment and you're watching us, don't turn away from us. But if you can turn into TBS, the way these guys. I like this. If I sit and I watch this, especially when you get to the better teams, this quality and this excitement, this knocks the NBA out of the park.
For sure.
This kills the NBA.
I mean, and what's so great about tomorrow is that, you get a tip at noon or 12:15, and like the next one's at 1:00, the next one's at 1:45. I mean, at one point, if you could go to a bar wherever you live, you've got like the whole side panel of a bar, with nothing but basketball going on. I mean, This year I found it interesting, like just scanning, sports radio and national sports radio, not local sports radio, because there's really no, collegiate presence in the area where I live, at least as it relates to basketball anymore. But the national shows, like even the national personalities are admitting it's hard to get into basketball. It's hard to get into college basketball this year because the season was so wild and woolly. It was. Conference teams playing each other a lot, which is how Michigan State ended up with an 11 seed and has to play tonight against UCLA. Tom Izzo has made the tournament 23 years in a row, and now they're in a play-in game. I'm not sure they've ever had to come from a double-digit seed before. And we'll get to that a little bit later.
Well, that's kind of where I want to go with it. Like, what happens now?
Well, what happens is, so this is what's going to be really interesting about this Final Four, I think, among others, is that it's not like professional sports. College basketball, it's all about the coaches, right? Everybody always talks about the coaches. And it's coaches this, coaches that, who brought this team, how many, da-da-da, right? So, we all know who the number 1 overall seed is here with Gonzaga. And what Mark Few has done there is very impressive. And he's taken sort of a mid-major, and made it into a powerhouse. And they also are going up against history, trying to be the first team to win complete an undefeated season since 1978, I think it was, where ironically the Indiana Hoosiers, completed that, undefeated season. But like, take for instance, Tom Izzo. I'm just using Michigan State as an example again. I mean, Tom Izzo's been to 8 Final Fours. Like, he hasn't won the tournament in 15 something years, but I mean, the guy goes out there. He can get his, Roy Williams, Mike Krzyzewski, Jay Wright, right? Who are we talking? Bobby Knight. We go back. Billy Donovan, right down in Florida. These are guys that get their guys to the finals. And if Mark Few cannot do it this year, all the pressure in this tournament is on Gonzaga. Like, just period, end of story. Because if Mark Few has been to 1 Final Four, they didn't win the tournament. You remember Adam Morrison sitting on the floor crying after they lost, their semifinal game. It's going to be there will be questions, I think, because Mark Few has been there for a long time.
So for the first round, now with this regular season being what it was, I would expect we always get upsets, right? But we should see some action here, right? Like, what do you think? And you've probably done more than one bracket, like most of us. But is there something that popped out, like, hey, look out for this? We're in trouble here, kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I was surprised to see today that Rutgers as a 10 seed is actually favored over Clemson by 2.5 points. I'm sure that'll change. Maryland as a 10 seed, I think, could beat UConn. If Michigan State wins tonight, I think they beat BYU and they make it through to play Texas. You're going to look at some teams, that got really hot down the stretch, right? I mean, Georgetown won the Big East tournament, with Patrick Ewing.
I sure as hell picked them in the first round. Damn right I did.
Colorado, if I were Colorado right now, I'd be like, fuck. As a 5
Patrick Ewing's coming in here with some shit to prove.
Yeah, I mean, I like St. Bonaventure over LSU. That's an 8. That's a 9-8. Then the one that really sticks out for me, and I don't, so I read today on Bleacher Report that the most wagered on upset is a 14-3 Colgate over Arkansas. And Arkansas went on a preposterous run down the stretch. I think they won like 11 of 13 in the SEC, not in the fucking Ivy League or whatever it is that Colgate plays in. So that's pretty hardcore that people are, hedging there. I think, and my dad will kill me for saying this, but I think the biggest upset you're going to see, at least early on, is Winthrop over Villanova. And that's a 12-5. And I mean, Illinois is a powerhouse. So, I mean, and the other thing is, so you got Loyola Chicago is actually, you remember two years ago, Sister Jean and the Magic Run.
Oh, yeah.
All that. Loyola Chicago is the best defense in the country. They are an 8 seed. They're going to have to play Illinois if they make it through.
Well, that's where they get screwed. That's where they get screwed right there.
I don't know, though, because Illinois is a big team. They can shoot. They have 5 guys that can shoot the ball at any time. I don't know anything about Loyola Chicago except the fact that they have the lowest points given the lowest points allowed in the league.
Interesting.
So I think
good matchup there.
Deep runs, look at San Diego State. I think is overlooked because they're a West Coast team. I mean, they're coming in as a 6 seed. They're going to beat Syracuse. I think. VCU could very well beat Oregon. And look at UC Santa Barbara over Creighton. But then again, you have to come down. I mean, so there you go. You've got a 12 seed. If they win, they end up having to play a 4 or a 13.
Virginia, probably. I actually picked them too. You know what I did? Because listen, I'm no expert at this. I did some research. I ended up picking 3 12 seeds. I ended up picking UC Santa Barbara, Winthrop. What else did I do here? And I picked Georgetown. So I picked 3 12 seeds to advance. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Winthrop is obviously, you have Colin Gillespie, who, is Villanova's leading shooter, leading scorer, is out with an ACL.
Okay.
He won't be appearing in the tournament. So that's a real curveball right at the end of the season. And I've watched a few Villanova games. And the thing is if the ball was in Colin Gillespie's hands, he shot it. So, and I find, a lot of teams that doesn't work in a tournament because you need to be able to distribute the ball, run and gun, like you're watching the games today. They're fast paced, they come down to the, last 4 minutes. And Villanova had a hard time in the Big East, and then obviously in the tournament without Colin Gillespie. So, I mean, Winthrop looks really, really appealing there.
So in our little bracket, I think like I was pretty standard on the Gonzaga on one bracket, but I had to be a contrarian in the other one because why not have one that's a little wacky? So my wacky bracket, I have Baylor winning it all.
Yeah, I mean Baylor's a good pick. I have Baylor losing to Purdue in the Elite Eight. I think Purdue is primed for a run here. But who was it? I mean, if we went to Final Fours, I would go with Purdue, Illinois, Alabama, and Gonzaga. I mean, the draw that Gonzaga has is kind of a joke. Like it was almost set up for them as the number one overall seed to make it to the Final Four. So we'll see there. But
I don't want Purdue in either Final Four for me.
Yeah, I mean, they got a lot of big white dudes, and they can shoot from the perimeter.
Country boys is what you want to say.
Yeah. If you look at and then I mean, the thing is like the top. If you look at the top 5 scorers in the in Division I, they're coming from Gonzaga, Baylor, and Illinois, I think, and. Alabama made a run in the SEC tournament, and I'm not saying that, basketball is like football in the SEC, but I think Alabama, again, they're hot, right? And if that's how it's going to be, like they have to, but the only thing is they have to run through teams. I think Maryland beats UConn, so I mean, we'll see. But, by the time they get to, say, Michigan State, if they win tonight, that's an Elite Eight matchup, and Michigan State can be gassed. I don't know. Having to play the extra game is either a bitch or it's, or it
can be helpful, or you can gain momentum. I mean, there's no scientific answer to that one, right? It's like you see teams in back-to-back games in any sport, and it's like, oh, you should be gassed in night 2, but no, not always how it works, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like Oregon out of the 7th seed too in the West bracket. I don't, again, Pac-12 team. There's quite a few of them hanging around there, and I mean. I know nothing about USC really. Iowa's a good team. So really, we could be sitting here. I'm sure there will be a number of busted brackets tomorrow or, Saturday.
Casey likes Virginia.
I mean, defending champion UVA as it stands with a 2-year defense.
Seriously. Listen, so this is how crazy college changes. Just a minute or two ago, Wichita State had a 10-point lead. They're only up by 1 now, and Drake's on another run here. So
you don't have to tell me
going to go down to the wire.
Because Mount St. Mary had a 10-point lead at the half and got running. They gave up an 11-point run, 3.5 minutes.
They got
out of the locker room, and that was the end of that. So I mean, look, you're blessed with the fact that there's going to be a basketball tournament on for the next 2 weeks. This weekend is going to be nonstop basketball. Again, you probably haven't watched much college hoops. Very granularly over this.
I know season. I haven't, and I know I don't regularly, and I regret it because then I watch this and I'm like, this is some good shit.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at the DraftKings, there's an interesting prop about which state the champion will come from. So Texas, I think, was the favorite right now. Obviously, Baylor being in Waco, and right behind that was Illinois. So Illinois has clearly become the trendy pick of the 1 seeds, if you can have a trendy pick as a 1 seed. I think people want to pick Illinois because they're not Gonzaga, for the reason that Gonzaga is undefeated and they're good, but they haven't played in a while. So
why I picked Baylor, right? It was like
because
I was right. I was right there. Yeah, it's an hour south of Baylor for the last 2 years before I moved out of Texas. Thomas, so importantly, we usually cover the drinking. Just a beverage of the evening game. This is a brewery in Woodbridge, Virginia, Water's Edge Brewery. It's not red wine, and it is the sweet and sour cherry pie, something that Diamond Dan probably has no interest in, but it is very, very good if you like sours. It's not too sour. It's you know what, you like cider. You like ciders, right?
Me?
It's yes, you like ciders, correct or no?
Occasionally, I had some cider in my Guinness the other night.
This is kind of like it's kind of a cidery. It's really good. So that's my beverage of the evening. In case anyone else was wondering, I don't know what you have over there.
Well, I'll tell you, Tom, I'm not going to make it to Nanuet on Saturday, but maybe down the road closer to Easter and Passover. Tonight, I am drinking New York's finest and the original OG craft beer in America, Jenny Cream.
Oh, shit. Wow.
So,
You've been drinking that for like the last 30 years.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is like
$15 for a 30 rack.
This 32 ounce was $13.
Well, meanwhile, 4 of these for Modest Man Brewing, center of attention up in Keene, New Hampshire. Keene, New Hampshire, everybody. That is 4 of these are $4 more than 30 of these.
Right. I believe it. Oh, God.
You gotta love it, man.
That's unbelievable.
Crystal Palace glass.
Listen, I mean, your soccer. I don't know. I don't think we're doing soccer this week. Just saying.
Crystal Palace has a bye week. Has the equivalent of a bye week.
I don't think anyone's playing. I looked and I was like, there's not much going on this week.
Maybe it's an international break. Shut up, Casey.
So as we sit here again tonight, NCAA kicking off. There's a lot going on, and I don't know. I have no organization for this show. What else is new? But listen,
I'm not. Hey, look, I could talk about basketball because it's on. And I mean, we could. I'm not. Again, I can't get into the who did this and what. But I mean, we can talk. Generally.
Well, it's just fun because there's so many things involved, from making a bracket to betting on a parlay and what have you. Just to tease a couple of the hot items we like that have happened over the last couple of days or 24 hours. So last night, the New York Rangers, with a complete substitute coaching staff, defeated the trash Philadelphia Flyers 9-0. Mika Zibanejad had 6 points in 1 period, the second player ever in NHL history to have 6 points in a single period. The other one being that trash bag Brian Trottier, who tried to coach the Rangers for 2 months about a decade and a half ago. So I mean, what a night last night. We'll get into that. The New York Knickerbockers are in action tonight. They are coming off of back-to-back losses against some of the best teams in the NBA. And the reason why I want to highlight that a little bit is because they played their hearts out for 2 nights in a row. They lost 2 games, the Nets and the freaking Sixers, and their defense in those games, specifically the Nets game in the final minutes, was just unbelievable. Usually you'll see teams foul and what have you. They've forced jump balls and timeout, all that stuff. Dan, like a coach, that's the difference on this team.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Thibodeau, again, Salem State represent. I think it's, he's got some players that he can rely on. I mean, RJ Barrett, has been pulling the sled, and I mean, I don't really know Derek. I don't know who else really played. I haven't been paying attention because it's not on TV here.
Yeah, Rose was out, and they almost won both. Right.
Well, I mean, Derrick Rose is like the OG John Wall, right? I mean, the guy's like, having him on your team is great, but will he ever play for you? It's a question.
That's a good point.
I just remember in DC all the hype around John Wall when he came out of Kentucky, and it was like, oh my God, John Wall, and then it was like, oh, John Wall's never actually played. I went to 3 or 4 games when I lived there, and I don't think I ever.
Well, it's like that poor guy on Golden State too, that's been out for like 2.5 years. With his leg, is it Clay something?
Clay Thompson.
Yeah. Some guys that never get out there and actually play, right? So, I mean, to put a coach in that's competent, and it's kind of like when you look at the Giants turn around a little bit to competent playing, you put a coach in that is that can actually, I don't know, game plan and in-game coach his team, and what a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I think Thibodeau wants the job. I think he wants young players, and I think he wants the stage, right? I mean, the guy is very focused. He's a defensive coach. That's what he teaches first, and he's just dialed in on this shit during the season. So I think that's what you need, especially when you're the Mets of the NBA in New York right now. I mean, the show across the river is like lights out. You were able to take the Nets to the last,
but nobody cares. Nobody cares. I mean, Net fans definitely feel like nobody cares. I don't know. Like if the Nets even won a championship, like
I mean, it's cool. It's Brooklyn. It was.
It's like when the Devils won championships. Nobody cared.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, scrappy is a good word to define the Knicks. I think you have, but it's organized scrappiness because again, I like Tom Thibodeau. I think he's a good coach, and I'd like to pick his brain someday because you can practically see it. He's lost so much hair.
Hey. And how the fuck are you, Ryan Spellman, a Heat fan when you're not really from there? Don't start that shit. Start that shit.
Well, anyway, so and I don't. The NBA, like you said, I'd much rather sit down and watch 5 college games in a row than watch one NBA game. And it's just because the Rockets, after I adopted them back last year, suck. The Knicks are exciting, but I don't get the games. And the Celtics, I just whatever.
So I'll tell you this with the Nets, though. I did pick them on my 4-team championship parlay to win the championship for basketball. So I mean, as much as I don't really care, they are my pick, and they were carrying decent odds on it.
Schenectady's own Pat Riley is the reason Ryan went with the Heat after he left New York.
Yeah, so I guess, yeah. There you go. I mean, it's true. I mean, if you had to do things over, the Knicks leadership should have done everything they could to keep Riley, but I think the Heat offered him total control, right? And that's what he wanted.
That's what he wanted.
The Knicks organization with Dave Checkitz was never going to allow that, the same way as the Rangers organization was never going to allow Mike Keenan total control. And they lost both of them. Riley being more successful than Keenan at the end of the day. The Knicks definitely would have. I think, and I wonder if Seth would agree because he's a big basketball guy. I think if they did give Pat Riley total control in New York and he stayed for 20 years plus, the Knicks would have won multiple championships. I'm pretty comfortable in saying that.
It's a bold statement.
I mean, look where they were when he left, and look what happened after he left. I mean, and look what happened. The Heat won. Well, what if the Heat don't do the LeBron thing? Like I don't know how much they win, right?
They wouldn't win anything because then you got Chris Bosh and what's his face?
Because of LeBron, you got the whole thing.
And Dwayne Wade all went down there because LeBron went down there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of variables at play here. I don't know. I just think the Knicks weren't at the end of their rope per se, and Riley leaving accelerated the rope being cut short.
Then again, if Michael Jordan never played basketball or never played baseball, the Knicks wouldn't have made the Eastern Conference Finals for those 2 seasons.
There's a lot of digging to be done there. That's a good point too, and that's really where they lost it. So if you really want to back up and say, "Hey, it's after Riley," no, it's not. It's you freaking blew it when Jordan wasn't playing basketball. That's when you lost it.
Those were your chances, and Hakeem Olajuwon was right there to stomp those Empire State dreams. Anyway,
I mean, I suppose there's a point to that people went to play with Pat. I don't know, or do they go, or do they go for the lifestyle? Or LeBron went when he said, "I'm taking my talents to South Beach." Did he say it because I'm taking my talents to play with Pat Riley, or because
I don't think
he wanted to be in South Beach?
I don't think players come to the Celtics for the lifestyle. So I mean, think about. I'm just saying. I can see why you would say that in Miami, or Los Angeles, or anywhere else. Maybe not Oklahoma City, but
But to what Ryan says, I don't really think it was necessarily I want to play with Pat. It's I want to go to Miami. I want to build this team with my favorite guys in Miami, rather than somewhere shitty.
Or you choose to you both, and you're like, wow, why would I not do this?
Yeah, and then it's a perfect scenario, right? So 2:45 to go. Drake 46. Wichita State just scored to be up by 147. So this game is back and forth. It's a typical March Madness last possession game. And how many do you see of how many tomorrow are we going to see of last possession games? It's going to be every game.
I hope it is because that drives the over.
Yeah.
So, some of these over-unders are set pretty high. So
3-point shot for Drake. So, I mean, that's the thing. Like, these guys go bucket for bucket, bucket for bucket, and the last possession is going to win the game or lose the game.
I've got Michigan State tonight in the over. Right, the over is set at 134, so you need a shootout at some point in that game to get that over the thing.
Yeah,
I just can't take the under in these games.
It's just these games go so fast, though, and that's the other great thing about it. Before you know it, this game's over, and you're on to the next game. It's great if you have ADHD. Like, this game's good. Okay, great, next game. I love it. It's not a slog like the NBA games.
No.
Pretty awesome.
And 2 halves, it keeps it moving,
And I do like that. I wish the NBA, there's some things that they, a pro league can adapt. The 2-half model is actually pretty desirable, I think.
And I mean, you're gonna and maybe limiting the amount of timeouts and I think with you get the TV stops, or 6 minutes. It's like 9 minutes and 5 minutes or whatever it is. So like those TV timeouts are limited, unlike in the NBA where it's like every fucking 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what makes watching EPL and, European soccer so great because they just go right through. They're like, obviously the advertisers would go for it. But I mean, that's why, these guys sponsor every other. That's why there's a tournament this year.
Right. Because there's money.
You know how many fucking Pizza Hut ads or like Allstate ads you're going to have to sit through?
Yeah.
And then you're going to be repeating them in your sleep by the time fucking Passover and Easter roll around.
Drake's gonna win this game. That's gonna bust my $5 parlay for the evening.
I'm surprised. I thought the Shockers had it there, but
yeah, just fell apart here in the last minute and a half. So we talked about it. So let's back up a minute for the Rangers 9-0 win last night against the Flyers. Before the game, it was a roller coaster of emotions before the game because Adam Fox and Pavel Buchnevich were allowed back in off of COVID protocol to play. I guess they were just in a contact tracing situation, and then they were allowed to play. And I was like, "Oh, great, full lineup, pretty much ready to go." And then a couple minutes later, David Quinn and the entire coaching staff cannot be on the bench for this game, so they're gonna call up the minor league coaches, Chris Knobloch, and they're gonna put the assistant GM Chris Drury, we all know, on the bench for this game. And I said before the game, because there's a lot of David Quinn haters out on Twitter, the Bird app, and we'll get into that in a minute. But I was like, okay, if the Rangers win this game in dominating fashion, Twitter's gonna burn because the Ranger fans are gonna just lose pitchforks for David Quinn. And what happens? They go on and win 9-0.
They scored 6 goals in a period.
They scored 7 in the what the hell? The second period or what?
I thought I was like at the end of the game. I was like, why aren't they like?
They scored 7 of them in the second. Yeah,
right. I thought at the end of when it was 9-0 after the second period, I thought the game was over because it started late, and I was like, oh wow, that's great. Then they're like, we'll be back after this intermission. I was like, what?
You're like, wait, there's another period? So
it's the second period. It didn't even like register.
The Flyers just stopped playing, right? So
on the ninth goal, like I forget who scored it, but Kreider or whatever. But I mean, he was in there by himself. Like they just gave up, like the Flyer. That's the other thing. I was like, oh, this game's over, and I was like, wait, it's the second period.
Wichita State just pulled the Knicks, and I'm sorry because this is like real time. They just did what the Knicks defense did against the Nets and forced possession turnover. Instead of fouling the player on Drake with 33 seconds to go, they forced a turnover and are trying to pull this one off. Great defense. Just absolutely phenomenal. I love seeing this. Score? So 51-49 Drake with 27.8 to go. And Drake will have the ball. And we're going to a timeout situation. So
I think to your point earlier about DQ, I think the game, that argument gets overshadowed by the fact that Knobloch was the coach for the Flyers, came back in a revenge game, beat the shit out of his
great, yeah.
And you have AV on the other side.
Well, here's
and hold on, and you also have the fact that people, myself included, have been sitting around staring at their watch, waiting for Zibanejad to fucking fire up, and then all of a sudden he just like, bursts out in one period. I mean, it was. I think there were flashes of getting the monkey off of his back, like over the last week or two, like that he had shown, maybe ripping one off the pipe or like, a good pass here or there. But I mean, they just like he wasn't getting the breaks. It was almost like when you watch a, like who was it? Luke Voigt 2 seasons ago, right? Went like 2 for 50. And you sit through that and you're like, man, one of these, he's just going to rip it like off the fucking subway stop.
And he did. And he's become the most productive first baseman in the league the last 3 years.
Right. And I mean, Zibanejad maybe outplayed himself at the end of last season by playing so well. But he earned his A and, he came out this year and kind of flopped. And I think we could have that discussion about a couple of guys on the Rangers right now, including your rookie sensation with 11 points at this stage in the season, Lafreniere.
But that's not as apples to oranges, right? Because
sure,
you've got a player that's showing the improvements day by day. He belongs. All the underlying stats are positive. Kakko's also shown that upward trajectory. They're not on the score sheet. These are teenagers. These are
I get it, but
right?
I mean,
and then for every guy that's not showing on the score sheet, and you have players that have produced tremendously. Pavel Buchnevich's impressive improvement. Cheadle is showing that he could be a second line center. Adam Fox and Keandre Miller on defense are the truth. They are the real deal. So David Quinn, you can't just say, oh, he's at fault for this, and then say, oh, he has nothing to do with. Oh, there's a 3 for Wichita State. And they're down by 1 with 8.1 seconds to go.
They're still losing.
They are still losing. They had a turnover, 8.1 seconds to go, and bang the 3. I don't know how we're doing it. There's too much going on right now.
You wanted to do the show, bro.
This is great. I love this because it's like
we had to get back on the record here.
This is actually phenomenal. Oh my goodness. That was a hell of a shot by this guy, Dennis. I don't know, number 0.
Oh, you gotta love a number 0.
I gotta love a number 0.
It was like Taco Fall at
there's a guy on the team that hugged the number 1. So I don't know what Wichita State's for numbers in this. I don't know if it's like 0, 1, 2, like the old batting when you baseball
0, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. So you got a number based on your hitting position in the order. I wonder if they do that like the guard is number 1 and I don't know.
I mean, do they have their names on their backs?
Yeah, Dennis. Dennis was number 0. Dennis the Menace was number 0.
That's the great thing about these, these kids too. I mean, they work there. This is what I always admire about, professional athletes and these kids that are under extraordinary pressure in the NCAA is that like they work their whole lives, to get there. I mean, granted, like we all did too to get where we were, but it's like this is just on a different plane.
Well, that's why last year was so sad, right? Because it got ripped away from them.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it was hard for people to. I think it was that, and obviously the disruption in professional sports. Like, there's been tomes written about the Rudy Gobert thing, and that Jazz. There's a 30 for 30 on that. The day the world stops, whatever. Like when you start taking out these things that people look forward to, I mean, that's when you start to think like, oh boy, we're really in for it now. So, by the way, happy 1-year anniversary of 2 weeks to stop the spread.
Yes.
Just want to mention that for the record. Sorry, my eye is, I don't know what's going on here.
Well, it's got to be spring allergies because I started.
It's supposed to snow here tonight. So.
Oh, maybe not then. It was 70 here all last week, and then my eye started going, and then that was it, Which
it is. You feel for these kids, and I think you get the juniors now, and like, I don't think it's going to do anything to the one and done. See, that's the other thing is in the NBA with the LeBron rule and all that, the one and done. That's why everybody likes to focus on the coaches, right? And, when you get individual performances, like it was really funny. Like if you remember, everybody obviously remembers where they, not where they were, but they remember the Christian Laettner shot, right? And it was so, and then you go back, the same thing happened in that Villanova game 3 or 4 years ago, right? When they won the title at the buzzer, 2016. I couldn't tell you the name of the kid that hit that shot.
Yeah,
but I can tell you that Jay Wright's a sexy motherfucker. It was like Deladova or Delanadova, whatever.
Ooh.
But what I'm saying is like even like so like John Morant, right? Where did he go to school? Nobody. I don't know. I forget. He went to Georgia Tech or something, right? And now he's like one of the best players in the NBA, right? So some of these guys are going to be late second round picks, that aren't going to make it out of like the fourth round.
Yeah.
Of the tournament, I'm saying, or the third round of the tournament.
We've got 5.3 to go. Drake at the line, up by 1. So they had
watching you watch sports is fucking terrible.
And he missed it. And down to the buzzer, long 3. Oh, off the frickin' rim.
Down go the Shockers.
He took the kid took the longest 3-point you're gonna see, like, I mean, just over half court, and quite honestly, he probably had another second and a half to get that ball up to the line, 3-point line. I mean, that was a long 3, and he just came up short. Oh, goodness gracious.
On to the next. Who's next?
So before we get to the next college game, we were talking about the Rangers. Lawrence, good evening. And so the David Quinn situation. So my feelings going into this game last night, I agree. I agree too. I don't hate David Quinn. In fact, I'm not calling for him being replaced. I think he's an adequate coach, average per se. He's still learning the NHL game, being a college coach. Is coaching a bunch of teenagers and early 20-year-olds that fans have no patience in watching. It's just funny. It's just really something else. But anyway, already a large legion of Ranger fans want him replaced with what? I don't know, because I'm no fan of bringing retread hockey coaches that have coached 4 teams to rebuild a team. It's just not what we need, right? It's not going to help, and I don't think half of these guys like Gerard Gallant want a bunch of teenagers playing. They want to win, and the Rangers aren't there for another little bit. So anyway, the Rangers go out, they win 9-0, and everyone on the fucking Bird app are like, fire this! Oh my God, Knobloch! Just let him coach the team. Don't bring Quinn back. Blah 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 blah. And Lawrence apparently is one of those guys. And no, I no, they're not men trying to play, Matt. They're a bunch of kids, and they're growing. The Rangers are the youngest team in the league. They're not men. There's literally one player over 30 on the New York Rangers, right? So David Quinn is coaching a team full of kids, right? Drury is the assistant GM. Chris Drury has no experience coaching hockey. Okay, none. He's got none. So the Rangers win last night. Great. And I'm not about replacing Quinn, but here's the one thing that I'm objectively saying that did concern me. There was a quote.
It's like watching a Twitter fight in real life.
There was a quote after the game, and I've been saying it all along that you need to give. This is a rebuilding hockey team that isn't even about contending right now. So Dave, so last night, the one concerning thing I have, and Dan, so Mika Zibanejad after the game said, "Oh, this was such an easy game to play. We didn't think about it. We just went out and played hockey. Nothing was confusing." So something to those lines, and I can get the exact quote. So I did have a concern that is David Quinn overcoaching the team if Mika said something like, "This was such an easy game to play. We just went out and played." Like, how would you take that, right? Like,
well, I mean, I think you have to look at,
Quinn, I'm trying to be objective for someone who doesn't.
I mean, Quinn has always fucked with these lines and pairings and all that. He changes lines during the game. Now I think JD was like, you got to cut that shit out now that you've got Lafreniere and Kakko and these guys want to, and you're trying to establish leadership with guys like Kreider, Zibby, and, that douchebag Truba and, who's the other A? Buchnevich, right? I mean, you're trying to establish some sort of a leader-follower atmosphere in that locker room because maybe they don't have it quite yet. I get it, and you can't fuck with these lines. You want people to gel. And I think the top line, I think the one line has gelled a little bit. They move the puck well. They look good. They just don't necessarily score. Right. And sometimes it takes, and the problem with the Rangers too is they pass a lot and they don't necessarily, you just gotta it sounds basic and stupid, but you want to shoot the puck, right? Like put the puck on the net.
Right. And those are,
what's killed Georgiev in this season so far are shots from the point, because everyone in the fucking defense, like, they all stand around in front of him and nobody moves. I mean, like I was saying, I mean, Panarin, moves around fine, whatever, but I mean, Trouba and who was I saying the other night must be, minus 12, minus 13 for the season. Some of these guys are just on the ice because they're like in the way. And I agree, Matt. Like, there isn't, and I don't think, like, I get the mentality of not naming a captain, but I mean, I don't know what the fuck else Chris Kreider needs to do on this team to earn a C on his chest. He's like Charlie Conway. It's like, give the fucking C.
Two parts to this. I agree that Kreider should be the captain of this team, but 2, you don't need a C on your chest to be a leader, and 3, we don't know what goes on in the locker room. He could very well be the leader without the C. You know what I mean? You don't need a letter.
I get all that, but I think there's just like, it's like a thing, right? Because if you're watching it from the outside as a fan or as a detractor or whatever, you're like, look at these assholes. And then, like, you got one of these guys that has an A on his chest and can't put the fucking puck in the net until last night in the second period.
But this is my question is, how do we know there's no coaching leadership? Again, we're not.
I think it's too
early. We're not on the
bench,
right?
Look, I mean, the Rangers they've thrown David Quinn into a blender, right? And they're like, okay, they fixed the draft and got Lafreniere last year. Granted, we're gonna, yeah. All right, we don't use
lighten the moment up.
No, what I was making a point here, right, is that you take a college coach who's coached successful program with successful NHLers here at BU, and now they just gave a bunch of kids and were like, all right, figure it out. And then in a year like this year, you have the NBA, or rather the NHL and NBC division, which is the toughest division in hockey. And you got to take a kid who was like, the sun shines out of his ass, and he's the next Sidney Crosby and blah, blah, blah. And he comes out with a thud while you have Kakko, while you have kids that you called up and the Rooneys of the world who are trying to mix it in, and guys that come and go and are on the taxi squad. I mean, I think this season is going to be hard to make a judgment.
And the record, and we sat here before the season, and I said, this team isn't going to make the playoffs. And
I think that, no, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
You said there was, there's the possibility they could. What's ironic about this, right, is that Larry Brooks writes a column yesterday that appears in the New York Post that says this game tonight is about the Rangers' future. It's not about the season. They go out there and they fucking crush the Flyers. And so if they show up like that, all right, here's the thing. They go to Washington this weekend, right?
They might lose 7-0. I don't know.
But if they go down there and let's say they split or they win both games in the Verizon Center or whatever the fuck it's called now, they're showing us something, right? And this is the same thing that was happening before the shutdown last year, right? The Flyers were hot as shit. They had won like 9 in a row or 9 out of 11 or whatever it was. And the Rangers were on the bubble. They're in the same place they were last year with a shortened season, but you're not going to go out there and you're not going to play the Panthers 3 times before the end of the season, right? You're going to get the Bruins, you're going to get the Penguins, you're going to get the Islanders, who, granted, they just lost their best scorer, but you're going to get teams that are going to make the playoffs, and you have to fight teams like the Flyers and the Capitals and whatever for that last position. It's going to be hard. And is it fair? I don't know. I mean,
I hate this schedule. I hate this setup because, like, whoever wins the fucking Canada division, they're still one of the worst teams in the NHL. Right? Whoever wins that Central division is going to win. I mean, it's really rough. So it's hard enough to build the team, rebuild the team full of teenagers as it is. These last two seasons have been really ridiculously not right. And then now we're in a division that's just stacked head to toe, right? So maybe they actually, record-wise it sucks, but growth-wise it may pay dividends down the road, that every game they play is a hard, competitive Eastern Conference hockey game rather than playing, say, Detroit.
I get that, right? But I mean, and they can go up there and tool on the Sabres every month for 2 games, and I think you're getting a young team, like you said, with one player over 30 that they have to play in a cauldron this year, right? And they play
and COVID. I mean, some guys get out because of COVID. They've had some serious injuries.
I mean, I get it, and it's not like if they do end up making the playoffs, it would be a miracle. If they, it's not like we thought they were going to be contending for the cup this year by any stretch of the imagination. But I do think that if next season is 82 games, right, or whatever it is, and like they start to straighten out, and Lafreniere is still underperforming, and you maybe. I mean, Panarin, since he's been back since his Russian
fine.
lashings, I mean, he's been on fire, right?
Is that real? I'm glad he's alive. That's him or a body double. I don't know, but
I mean, you can't replicate that here.
You can't. And so things to look forward to, like Igor Shesterkin practiced today. He'll probably be back this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that was it. Like, Kincaid, maybe that was like a little bit of a, let them find their ass, play for your goalie, whatever. Because I'll tell you this, the defense was not playing for Georgiev over the last couple of weeks. Well, like that guy,
I don't always, I think he's underplayed. So Georgiev is not the Georgiev we've seen the last year and a half. And his value, I mean, I guess teams may still value him for a trade, but no, nothing where he was last year. So good thing Shesterkin should be back. And then Vitaly Kravtsov is currently quarantining in New York. And in about a week and a half from now, I think we might see him in a game. And that's another big winger that would be fun to watch. So, the Rangers have a endless selection of young wingers. So in the offseason, we'll see what happens for Jack Eichel. To see if they can make a move for a center.
Well, see, that's the beauty of the NHL, right? Is they don't have to disclose what injuries are. They're either upper body or lower body.
Well, we knew that what it was. They disclosed it was
a knee, right?
No. Knee, it was a groin pull, a minor groin pull.
Well, that's the thing. That's why they call it lower body injuries, because
they actually said it was. They did come out and say it was.
Yeah, his dick caught in somebody else's skates and he went away. Oh, look at that! He pulled his groin. Like that's nasty. I mean, he looked terrible. I thought he was like, forget it. We'll never see that guy again.
Well, Mike Richter tore his groin and was out for like a full season.
And now his brain is
no groin is right there. Ain't that the truth?
I agree.
Just think about this. We could disagree about coaches, whatever we want to talk about, but life could be worse, Dan. Alain Vigneault could still be the Rangers coach.
Yeah, I mean, Lindy Ruff could still be there.
Lindy Ruff, and since Lindy Ruff's been replaced, the Rangers have one of the best penalty kills in the league and a defensive system that has played very well.
The Rangers move the puck well. Their defense isn't great. The kill is good, but they need to shoot. Right, I'm tired of seeing guys like in the slot, and then they dish it off, and then somebody rips it off the boards.
Oh, none of us will disagree. Yeah.
It's like, and this
even Abby agrees, can't you?
Right? I mean, they're a talented group of kids. I don't think they've gelled in any regard. I don't think they've really come together. I mean, that's what. I mean, if you look at St. Louis when they won the Cup 2 years ago, I mean, they just came out of nowhere because they hung together and played awesome hockey. And I guarantee you, I mean, if the season had not been amended last year, the Flyers would have won the Cup. So we lucked out there, I think, because that team was playing out of its mind. And, they had leadership and they had it all, and it would have been a terrible scenario because Philadelphia doesn't deserve any championships.
No,
but,
never.
Here we are. And, Tampa, is out there. And, I mean, they look what they did, right? And they did it with all fucking former Rangers.
Show you, I mean, I'm sorry, just to show you how crazy the season is, though. Tonight, the Flyers are beating the Islanders 3-0. You just never know.
But I think these split games where you're playing 2 games back to back in the same dojo is tough.
Yeah.
Right. It's just in baseball where you spend the weekend in Baltimore and hit Hooters and all that. Whatever. You're usually you play one team and you move on. You could stay in the area, but the Flyers are going to be in New York now for 6 days? That's got to be tough. I get it. And you can't go out and do shit.
Yep, they play the same teams multiple games in a row. I mean, it's just not the best. It's kind of a bummer. So, so I actually took the Islanders tonight on the puck line, the spread of 1.5, and clearly I'm not going to get that right. But yeah, they play the Islanders 3 games. Flyers and the Islanders play 3 games in a row. 3 games in a row.
There you go. See.
And I said, okay, so welcome back, Mr. Thomas. I said he rushed that shot when he took it. He had about another 2 seconds to get up court to get that basket in.
I didn't see it because I'm not watching TV while I try to do this.
Well, I'm glad I can add a little, I don't know, a little little something to the show. I don't know what it is.
I mean, it's happening in real time. So now, is there a game on now?
So there is the next game.
Who is next?
All of a sudden, I don't care so much about.
Wait,
but...
it's yeah. Why is that? Is it Norfolk and Appalachian State?
No, it's the UCLA Michigan State at 9 in another hour. We got UCLA Michigan State.
Well, I mean, that's the big one of the night.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Appalachian State, Norfolk State's on now, yeah.
And I know. The Michigan State UCLA game is last.
Yeah, Appalachian State, Norfolk State.
Of course it is, because it's the one everybody wants to fucking watch.
What is it on TR? Oh, True TV. It's on.
See, this is how they get you, man.
You got to turn to all these fucking networks. You don't even know what they are.
You know why? Because if the Michigan State UCLA game were on at 5:00 this afternoon, nobody would tune into any of the other three games.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So, all right. So news today with the Giants making some free agency headlines with Kyle Rudolph.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what was your first reaction with that one?
The Giants do tight end tandems fairly well, I guess. And now, I mean, again, you don't have a blocking. He's not a blocking tight end by any stretch of the imagination, but he's a pass catcher. I wonder if this will impact their, Gettleman's draft calculus as it relates to a slot receiver or, like a 2 behind Slayton. Because, I mean, I think now with Tate out of the picture, Darius Slayton will flower into a 1 receiver. I think he has the chops to do so, and I think he could be I'm not saying, I mean, he's clearly not as tall as, Plax or whatever. I mean, and Hakeem Nicks was a freak of nature. But, I mean, you want like kind of a, mid-size outside receiver. Slayton's your guy. So, if you're not going to go out and get Kenny Galladay, which apparently, everybody was like, yeah, Galladay. And then it was like, oh, no. Rudolph, probably I would take him over Jared Cook, who went somewhere else today. I forget. But I'm not opposed to it.
I think the Giants organization still loves Evan Ingram. They're not giving up on him, so it's meant as a tandem. So I do not think he's coming in to replace Evan Ingram. I don't think they're going to be trading Evan Ingram. I think they're going to work together. And so I guess we'll just call it an upgrade because Ingram can't catch, right? So we'll call it an upgrade. I'm okay with it, but I don't agree with Slayton being the number 1 guy. I think he's a really good number 2. I think they got to go out and get a number 1 guy.
Yeah, but the problem is if Jerry Judy, Jesus, if you bring in Waddle or Devontae Smith, they're not going to be a number 1 right out of the gate. So you're going to need, and the thing is both of those guys are under 6'3", I think. I mean, you need a fucking like Johnson Megatron.
Well, those are generational players, right? Like,
well, no, I mean, you just need a big receiver. You need a physical receiver. I mean, Galladay sort of fits that bill, even though he's not really like.
So where did Galladay go?
I don't think he's been picked up yet.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah, but I mean, like Amari Cooper is a much more physical receiver out of Alabama than say, Devontae Smith. Even though Devontae Smith is probably pound for pound a better wide receiver. I mean, just you think about downfield blocking, whatever, that kind of thing, especially in the scheme that the Giants run, where it's it's a check down or, they're just letting Danny fucking wing it down the field because he doesn't have enough time to get the ball out, which is why Evan Ingram was such a problem last year because he was dropping balls.
Can't even block.
Like, oh my God, help. So bringing Solder back, you let Mayo walk, not the worst thing. Signing Leonard Williams for, a gazillion dollars may not have been the best idea. I don't know what that does to the Giants short-term, salary implications.
They have cap issues, don't they?
I mean, I'm sure they have to, right? At this point, they're got to be short. Whereas, like, the Patriots went out and spent, like, the GDP of Zimbabwe yesterday on, players. to try to build up the team. And I think there's a lot of questions here about if you're not going to draft a quarterback, then how do you put all those players, around Cam Newton? But as the Giants go, like, we got a long way to go here. They did show us something down the stretch last year, but this, I think, will be the do or die year for Danny Jones. So.
Yeah, I mean, you ain't kidding with I think this is a big year for Danny. But I hope they bring him the parts. Like, have the line there that continues to improve. The second half of last season, it was more than adequate. It was a solid offensive line down the stretch, and they just obviously not working with their top running back and having guys who couldn't catch a football. So, it's not a perfect team by any stretch, but you're right, Casey. Barkley's a question, and I you want to think he could get back in there.
I'm not. The jury is out on Barkley, and
it is.
I do not understand bringing in Devontae Booker at all. I think that was a very, it was a strange move if you're not willing to pay Wayne Gallman, who went out and proved everything he needed to last year.
Is Booker better than Gallman? I
No,
don't think so.
I would not say so. Barkley is a big question. I just, we'll see what happens. I wouldn't give up. He's still going to be the number one. I still think he's a generational talent.
But it's going to come time to decide if you want to sign this guy to a 6-year contract.
For sure. Yeah, I agree.
And Gettleman will be like, oh, yeah, of course, because I don't make mistakes. But
well, they also need an edge blocker that can actually open up the field for a guy like Saquon who can run. Yeah. And when he's like Brandon, he's obviously not as big as Brandon Jacobs, but if Jacobs got 2 yards past the line of scrimmage, that dude was fucking gone.
Right.
You have to play to Saquon's strengths. You can't just send him out to the outside where he gets, chased down 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage where he's forced to like jump over people. That's where this gets wrong. That's where he went wrong. That's how he got hurt.
He was trying to hurdle guys everyone.
Like on 3rd and 5. It's like, what the fuck is this shit? So anyway. I jump over people's heads. Football, I can't get worked up over football when there's so much basketball.
I know.
And baseball is right around the corner. And the Yankees look like fucking world beaters right now.
So here we go. I have it. Baseball,
segue. That's called a segue in the business.
That was fucking phenomenal. So with the Yankees, health, right? Like, forget it. Paper, great. They look on paper. They should get to the World Series. Lineup should be unbeatable. Even with the pitching questions, if they're healthy, they should make, but health, right? So that's it right there. The guys they brought in, they've got about 4 pitchers coming off of some kind of injury or missing last season because one got another kind of suspension. And everyone else coming off of injuries
and felonies. And
right. So only Garrett Cole is coming off of a clean season. Everyone else is coming off of something. Montgomery's coming off of not playing a full season because he had Tommy John the year prior. By the way, 5 shutout innings yesterday for Gumby. Hell of an outing, right? And then you got a bunch of question marks. But let me tell you, Corey Kluber has looked phenomenal. Jamison Tyone has looked phenomenal. Luis Severino and Domingo Germán have looked phenomenal. All of a sudden, you've run out of places. I don't know, 5 slots, and all of a sudden, you got too many guys. Someone's arm's gonna fall off. Right?
Well, the problem is you've got. We went into the spring thinking that Gary Sanchez was an expendable piece of this team, and then all of a sudden, people start mentioning 3 magic letters in spring, MVP about fucking Gary Sanchez. Like, let's slow down here, okay? And who we have not heard a single word about during spring training at all is Aaron Judge. Right? Perfect. What are the 3 storylines out of the Yankees in spring training so far? Gary Sanchez, right? Maybe Clint Frazier, and then pitching. And that's and what was if we sat here, if we went back and reviewed the videotape, like Warner Wolf said, what was the problem that didn't get the Yankees over the hump last year? Pitching. Right. Gary Sanchez and Clint Frazier.
Well, the other big story, I'll say the outfield story has been, well, he may not play the outfield. He won't play the outfield, but Stan has been hitting the cover off the baseball.
Yeah, I mean, he plays. I mean, again, it's fucking March,
But
right?
when Giancarlo stands healthy, he hits the cover off the baseball.
This is the same story with A-Rod, right? Mr. May. It was like, all right, this guy's crushing it the early season. Then he goes again. He has like a Luke Voigt 0 for 45, and here we are again. But I mean, I think the Yankees are so short up. But I mean, it's nice to have the pieces in place. Like they went out, they took care of DJ. That was that, right? They've got the first baseman with Voigt. They've got third base. Yeah, everything is just sort of there, right? They went past the Lindor thing. Torres is going to be, the shortstop.
Weber's at short. Gio's at third. It's all solidified. There's no questions there.
And I think Taillon was a great pickup. I think that's a long fourth, third starter that you don't even think about. And again, there will be. I mean, that makes you realize. Like I had to look up the other day where James Paxton. Still played for the Yankees.
Yeah, he went
like, oh wait, he's in Seattle.
Went to Seattle, and So I hope Hicks doesn't go down early. See, I am an Aaron Hicks guy. I like Aaron Hicks. I think he's a tremendously undervalued center fielder, except that he keeps getting hurt.
Well, so, I mean, all of this is predicated too on the fact that all of this conversation that we've had here over the last 3 minutes. We haven't brought up Davy Garcia. We haven't brought up, Rodriguez, or
we haven't talked about Clark Schmidt, David Garcia,
all these guys. All the guys that are ready to come up. That'll be on the Scranton taxi squad.
So
I think they're in a great place. I mean, and I agree. Obviously, who said it before? Casey, whatever it was like the same story keeps repeating itself. But maybe this is it. Maybe this is the year where. Breaks down. Sanchez been working hard at what, man? I know there's a Chili's down the street from.
Hold on here, because I don't disagree that Gary Sanchez always works hard. I don't think he intentionally doesn't work hard. I think that when he's tremendously mental. And
he gets this rap about being lazy, and then goes out there and doesn't run out fucking ground balls and stuff, and doesn't make it, isn't like reaching over. I mean, it was to the fact where Garrett Cole was like, I don't even want to pitch to this guy.
I don't think
Higashioka, they got to carry a second catcher.
I don't necessarily think that's exactly what happened, but okay.
Well, what I'm saying is you're going to, Higashioka's going to have to stay on the roster and take up a position because Cole won't pitch to fucking Sanchez.
Well, I don't like personal catchers. I think it causes a big problem. So let's hope.
I mean, look, I don't want
that problem.
I don't want players. I don't want coaches. I don't want, this was Joe Girardi's problem. Every morning when he woke up, he read the newspaper like he was going out of fucking style. I don't want players to read the newspaper, and I don't even know if Gary Sanchez can read English. But the thing is that he knows, and that there are players and there are personnel in the locker room that make it apparent to him that people are pissed. And then when he goes up there and strikes out 4 times in a game against fucking Tampa, people boo him.
You know why they put up with him, Casey? His talent level's off the charts. His pure raw talent. He's a catcher, and you don't see catchers with that talent level.
To put it like this, right? I mean, I play in a fantasy baseball league. And,
I thought you were going to say you play baseball. I was like, what the fuck?
I don't play baseball. Look at me. What am I? I play couch baseball. I'm in a fantasy baseball league. I've been in for 20 years. And we have keepers, and I have Sanchez, and I look at my roster and I say, how many catchers are available, and how many of them can potentially hit 280 with 40 home runs, and they, I'm come up empty, and that's why the Yankees keep Gary Sanchez, because there are no people at that position available that can potentially do what he is billed to do.
Absolutely,
and I agree that he bats under 200, and he hears it from the fans when they're in the stands.
And the fans are very hard on him. I've been hard on him. We've all been hard on him. Every year we sit here in the spring and we get excited about him.
The problem was the marketing machine lumped him in with Stanton, Judge, and all these other. They had T-shirts, the whole fucking bit, right?
And that's right.
And Judge goes out and hits 50 home runs while Sanchez is dropping curveballs behind the plate. Right. So immediately he is compared against his teammates who are outperforming him. So I don't think that's necessarily fair, but it is what it is.
At the end of the day, though, Sanchez, Judge, Stanton, I don't care whoever on this team, they just need to stay healthy.
Because Casey, who are you going to trade him for, though. I mean,
you can't. That's exactly it. He's not an anchor on the team. I don't agree with it. He's an anchor.
Higashioka is not an everyday catcher. I'm sorry.
Here's the problem. If Gary Sanchez bats, I'll just throw out like 240, 250, hits 20, 25 home runs, and he lets in some pass balls, but everyone else stays healthy and everyone else plays adequately. We're not talking shit about Gary Sanchez. We're not.
Right.
And it's a combination of Aaron Judge being hurt every year, Stanton being hurt every year, Hicks being hurt every year, Sanchez not performing and being hurt every year. It's a fucking combination, and it's very tiring. The same thing is very tiring. And if it happens again this year, we're going to be so pissed off. We're going to be so angry at Gary Sanchez and Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton again. We're all going to be angry. But he gets it harder.
Does he get it harder? Talk amongst yourself.
He does, because he has also severely underperformed plus the injuries, right? So if this team isn't hurt all the time, then it will fall into place. And I don't think we're going to be having the same Gary Sanchez conversation come August and September. I hope not anyway. The talent level's off the charts, and you'd like to think this team was eventually going to have that season where, you don't lose 90 games due to manpower injury, 120 games due to manpower injury, and your catcher's not batting 200. But, we don't know. That's why they play the games. We don't know what's going to happen. And hopefully all the pitchers keep their arms on, because even if Gary Sanchez bats 320 and hits 45 home runs, if 3 of your pitchers' arms fall off, it isn't going to fucking matter. Right, Dan?
No, I agree. And I think what does make this year different is that, the expectations have been there. The Yankees have made it to the ALCS.
What is this, a Passover? Is this a Passover question? What makes tonight different than every other? What makes this year different from every other year?
Brian Cashman has rubbed the blood of Hideki Irabu on his doorstep, so the ghost of previous ALCSs passes over his home. I just think that, and I mean, look, it's spring, I get it, but I don't, and I watched a couple games over the weekends that were available. But every day I get an update on my phone, Yankees win 4-2, Yankees win 3-1. Somebody hit a big home run for, whatever it is. It's those are the types of things that I know it's spring and all that, but it's encouraging. And I think this difference this year is having 2 reliable middle starters. Kluber, we'll see. Talion, great backdoor fucking 4th starter. And if Montgomery, and then you have this sort of merry-go-round.
Anyone who uses Mike Stan, you got it right there, baby.
I agree.
There. I love it. Love it.
Yeah, and you have a rotisserie of whether it's Garcia, next man up kind of thing, Montgomery, Schmidt, whatever. Those guys are going to be available. So I think that's the differences.
I love. I don't know who Herman is, but I think him at Herman, German, like
who
German.
said that?
Casey Herman.
Herman. He's got a solid right.
I do, and I question what Cashman did with the pitching, but the Kluber Tyone signings were just there's no risk. It's all high reward. I like him. I like it a lot. I really do. And Severino, we forgot actually because we mentioned his name. Severino's probably not back till late June or July.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we've got some time to figure out where he's going to slide in. Actually, I was listening to a podcast. It was Talking Yanks by John Boy. Good quality content.
Shameless.
I love his stuff. So they may just slot Sevy into a bullpen for the year. Because to stretch him out in July to start, depending on what's going on with the season, it might just make sense to put Sevy in the pen for the rest of the season.
I think it depends on where they're at when he comes back.
Can we get one guy from Kansas? What? What are we doing from Kansas? What's in Kansas? Barbecue. That we do want to do that trip, right? We want to do a Yankees Royals for Kansas City barbecue. and see where that stacks up compared to Texas barbecue. I know we've talked about that on the show with Seth before.
Yeah, I mean burn ends, Kansas City, burn ends. It's they go hand in hand. The problem was last time I was at Kansas City was on a Sunday, and after leaving the Chiefs Texans game, guess what? Everything closes at 5.
So good point. We're gonna have a pitcher problem this year on innings because last year, because of the short season, the teams are not going to want to let these guys pitch anywhere near 200 innings. So you've got to have a long list of starters that can come in and sub guys and give guys rest this year. These teams are not letting these guys pitch anywhere close to 200 innings this year. You could agree or disagree, but it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Oh, my God, Portillo's. Eric got a Portillo's delivery.
Oh, yeah, I did that too. Eric, which
did you get the Italian beef?
Because what did you get, Eric? Put it in the comments there because I have a bone to pick about this.
Okay.
The problem was, so I ordered the Italian beef with sausage, right? And I mean, look, I love Portillo's. I would go there when I'm in Chicago. Great cheese fries, blah blah blah, whatever. Right? Italian beef can't beat it in Chicago. The sausage when it came was frozen, but it was already cooked. So yeah, I mean the beef, and here's my one recommendation I would make is that the beef comes with these 2 giant vats of gravy, right? So the beef comes in the little thing, and then the gravy is separate, and you get to see all of the unhealthy ingredients because they have congealed in the bowl while they were in travel to you. I would put that shit in a crock pot at like 8 o'clock in the morning. Let the gravy start to simmer and let the fat start to fucking move back, away from the congealed status it had while it sat in your refrigerator, and put the beef in as soon as you can and leave it there until dinner. Let it marinate all day because otherwise it's just, and then you can get it real hot if you want. Throw it on the stove. But you got to get those juices in and that flavor of the gravy into the beef.
So how do they want you to cook that sausage that's already cooked?
Just heat it up. The grill marks are on it and everything. The sausage was extremely disappointing.
Okay.
I will say. So, if you get the beef,
beef.
Oh, it's so good. And they send you the rolls from western suburbs, whatever it is in Chicago. The rolls are great, But it is also a pretty penny to get it out here to the East Coast. So, if you're on a budget or whatever, maybe not the best decision. I did the beef good, sausage no.
I think we have to do that Chicago trip for something. Football, I don't care. We've got to go. Gotta go.
Yeah,
and
I got to get back to Chicago.
The Giants are playing the Bears again next season. Like.
Well,
we got to get to Chicago. Oh my God.
We'll all have our, our tracking devices by then. So
yes. We'll be all chipped up and ready to go. I mean, the town is just tremendous. The people are great. The food's outstanding.
Also,
the weather sucks.
I don't mean to shit on your Portillo's delivery. The beef is good. I would let it simmer as long as you can. And if it came with the Gardeniera peppers, you gotta I would also strain those because there's a lot of oil in the jar.
That's good.
So you want to get that, but you want the pepper flavor. You don't want the oil flavor. And when you're putting those, they're great, but you don't. You put the peppers with the carrots and all the onions. You put that on the beef. I don't want oil on the beef, right? I want the peppers. I want that taste. So that's what and obviously making it in your own refrigerator. I don't know where you live, but making it in your own kitchen is going to be different than getting it out of Portillo's and fucking Whacker Drive or some shit. So it will be, and it's not coming off a hot griddle, right? That's been it hasn't been turned off since the fucking World War II. So I get it, but it was and there's another. I will throw in a pitch for mailed meats right now from Tuckaway Tavern.
Who?
In Tuckaway Tavern in Raymond, New Hampshire. They'll ship you steak tips, best steak tips you'll ever have. You can't burn them. It's amazing. and they get their beef from a place out in Iowa. It's so good, and they'll ship it right to your door. Same deal, like in the with the freezer packets.
I
Look,
didn't.
I'm gonna keep talking until the fucking MSU game starts. So
no, that's good. I didn't take the Sabres tonight because I thought the new coach would give them some kind of injection, and they're down 4-1 to the Bruins. So much for that.
The Sabres.
Sabres. I laid off that game because I was like, coaching changes scare me, right? So I laid off that game. There wasn't a good odds anyway. I mean, and then the Flyers are currently trying to blow their 3-0 lead. It's 3-2. So that's interesting. So all sorts of things are happening right now. Let's check in on the Knicks. What do you think?
I don't care. I want to talk about college hoops.
But we love the Knicks. The Knicks are like the next best thing. The Knicks are up. They're down.
You hit two bets on the Knicks, and now you're the biggest fan in the world.
They're down 5 in the 6 minutes to go. They were up. Good deal last I checked. So they're down 5 now. The Magic. Oy, Jesus. What happened? What happened, guys?
Does Dwight Howard still play for the Magic?
Is he still alive? Not even sure. I don't know what's going on. I don't think so. I don't think he's even. I don't think he plays. I don't know. So hopefully the Knicks come back. 5 minutes is a long time in basketball. That's like 35 minutes.
All right. What time does the MSU game go on? 9:57.
Half hour before we start that game there.
Never mind.
Norfolk State's up big here.
Are they really?
31-15.
Well, Norfolk and Appalachia are two very different places.
Very different places. That's a good point.
So Jay-Z, what is your Final Four?
Oh, wait. So I should go into I'll go into my bracket. So the bracket I did with Baylor, I've got winning. It's Baylor, Illinois, Gonzaga, Alabama. Kind of standard, huh?
Yeah, I mean a 2, 1, a 1, and a 1.
And a 1. Yeah.
I just don't think Michigan in the East. What'll be really interesting is I guess that would have to be a Elite 8 matchup though. Is if Michigan State makes it all the way through, they would play Michigan, and as we know, Michigan State beat Michigan in the Big Ten tournament. Quite handily too. They covered. So 6.5.
Which Michigan State is in which conference here?
They're a Big Ten team in the East, and they're playing in 30 minutes as a playing game against UCLA, which of course is
all right.
I mean, it's just such a fan service game to make those two teams 11 seeds. I mean, again, Michigan State, they beat Ohio State, they beat Illinois, they beat Michigan, right down the stretch here, and they're a fucking 11 seed. Come on, man.
Yeah, and I think it's
Virginia Tech. Get the fuck out of here.
Done for money and show. I mean, that's
Virginia Tech will lose to Ohio State. Well, if Ohio State doesn't lose to Oral Roberts University, the pride of Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Oh Jesus!
Although the spread, I was going to take Houston in my big weekend parlay, but 22 points is just too much for me. Virginia, look at this guy.
Texas, Illinois, Virginia, Illinois in the final. That's interesting. So Casey's either going to win our bracket, win your bracket challenge, or lose tremendously. Either way,
yeah.
No, there's no ways about it.
The Diamond Dam bracket challenge.
That's either going to be a big time win or the last place finish.
I mean, I appreciate that. I'm in a league with some guys, where you pick 10 players and you get a point for every point, rebound, or assist, right? And some guys, love. You got to go different or outside. You can't play teams that are going to eliminate each other, and that So some guys go hard on like West Virginia. I mean,
this guy with Ohio State.
Ohio State there, I don't know. I love everybody's, Gonzaga's got this red carpet to the Final Four, and I get that. And, you try to look at this. If you do the breakdown real quick, right? I mean, Gonzaga has to play the play-in winner of this game that's on right now. Then they get either Oklahoma and Missouri. I mean, getting down to it, it's a pretty fucking easy.
I'm sorry. I have to laugh right now. I'm so sorry to interrupt basketball, but the Islanders have tied the game at 3.
There we go.
I mean, the Flyers are so fucking bad.
I mean, the Islanders aren't bad.
No, the Flyers are bad, is what I'm saying.
I know, but
to blow a 3-0 lead in the last half of the third period, that's a
hangover from last night. Everybody had one at St. Patrick's Day.
A hangover from getting their brains beat in last night. Jesus. That's I tell you, sports, this is what makes sports electric, right? My God.
I'll give you the favorite upset of the weekend will be Liberty over Oklahoma State.
Liberty, Jesus boys.
Take it to the bank. Liberty will beat Oklahoma State.
We need Liberty to beat Oklahoma State and William Byron, who's driving a Liberty car this weekend, to win the NASCAR race in Atlanta. We're gonna get a full-on Jesus weekend if that happens. Full on.
Easter's coming, so ready.
Okay, William Byron. What is he on DraftKings? That's not a bad pick.
We go to Atlanta this weekend for NASCAR for the car race.
We do. I mean, it's been a fun season so far.
For what it's worth, NASCAR, of course, the first major professional sport that came back last year after iRacing. Yeah. They're getting everything they want so far out of this season. They've had 4 races?
4 different winners.
4 different winners.
2 first-time winners. 1 guy with a second win, and it's just been it's been a lot of fun. Byron is 2,000 plus 2,000 for this weekend to win. I like it. I like it.
Good. This is just after the year we've had, gentlemen, we deserve this weekend. With a tournament, the Honda Classic down in Florida. A race in Georgia, baseball, spring training, hockey. It's just like, God damn it, thank God. Vaccines going left and right. Here we go. Joe Biden makes it all better.
What happened with round 1 of the Honda today? Do we know?
I heard who was leading, and I can't remember.
Some guy named Jones. I have no idea who that is. Up 3 strokes. He's 9 under.
And where is the Honda Classic being played now? Because
it's in the Palm Beach Gardens PGA National Resort and Spa.
There you go. Because it used to be at the Blue Monster, Doral, until a certain former 45th president of the United States bought that property and they moved.
Right. Messed that up.
Well, of course, Tom, it's Florida. There's fans. I mean, I was having convulsions seeing the number of people that were at the Players at Sawgrass over the weekend. I was like, good Lord. They're standing so close to each other. But then I realized it was Florida, and then I got over it.
You're like, oh, it's okay.
Because then I went outside, and it was 35 degrees. And I was like, it clearly is nowhere near me.
Oh, God.
I mean, who's in? Who rounds out the top 5 there at the Honda?
I don't know, these guys. So 9 under, Jones is the leader. Henley and Wise 6 under, and then you got a bunch of guys 4 under: Stricker, Harrington, Chappelle, Bramlett, and Davis.
Huh? Interesting.
The first rounds, as we know, are not telling of how the weekend's going to go. Looking at you, Lee Westwood.
Yeah. Well, everybody's all high on Lee Westwood now because. The guy's got, first of all, he was playing. So Lee Westwood went pro, right, in 1993. Bryson DeChambeau was born in 1993.
Lee Westwood seems like a very nice gentleman, very likable guy. I want to like him. I want to root for him. He's got his wife caddying for him, first of all.
Girlfriend, fiance. And he played Augusta with his son.
Ball out move right there, right? He seems like a genuinely nice Brit. I think he's a Brit, right? Brit? Nice.
Yes.
Guy. Anyway. And Bryce, and I want to root for him, but I can't. After 2 weeks ago, and his utter failure on 17 and to close out, and his putting game, I can't. he cost us a lot of money, Dan.
But that's been his MO for his entire career.
Right. But that was hurt personally. And then Bryson DeChambeau, who just comes across like an utter douche bucket.
Yeah, I mean, he's fun to watch because he's totally owned.
He plays like a king, but except on the fourth hole last week on the last round, where he couldn't hit it past the ladies' tee.
And I don't remember who went first in that pairing, but then Lee, hooked his shot
to the fucking landscaping, and then Bryson did something and hit it over the hole. I don't know what happened. That fourth hole,
he barely made it to he didn't make it to the ladies' tee.
Yeah, that hole was me, you, and Seth playing, in upstate New York.
Well, I mean, I think there's there's something to that, and I think Bryson is trying to challenge the finesse and sort of proper approach. I mean, he has a weird stance. He hits the ball a billion yards. He's trying to prove that power golf can win tournaments. But the thing is like you've got guys already like Dustin Johnson and Rory McIlroy who are not like power lifters, but they can hit the ball 310 yards,
right?
330 yards, and there's a finesse to it, right? So I think that's going to be. I mean, we saw that going into the Masters in November. Like Bryson was hot going into the Masters, and it was like, can he, overpower this course? And the answer is no.
Will the Flyers take a 4-3 lead. Will what's holding Jordan Spieth back?
I just think it's in his head. At this point, and I don't think there's really anything holding him back because he's still a scratch golfer. I mean, he's an amazing, golfer athlete. I just think there's something in his head that, just kind of prevents him from getting to the next step.
Because the expectations were high with him, and
I mean, he's still, again, I would still put him in the top 10, 15 golfers in the world.
He'll end up being the Gary Sanchez of the fucking golf.
Yeah, I mean, he's won a U.S. Open, right? I mean, he's won a British Open and he's won a Masters. Like, I don't know, things happen in the back end of careers. Yeah. Like, I mean, the thing was he went pro like as a teenager.
Yeah,
right? I mean, I think he finished second in a PGA, so I mean, he's one tournament away from a career Grand Slam. Like, I still don't think you take anything away from him. I mean, I'm just looking it up now. He's Rookie of the Year in 2013. I mean, that's coming up on 10 years. Things happen.
I didn't realize it's been that.
Right, yeah. because he looks young. I mean, he's 27 years old.
I didn't realize it's been that long. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, he's going to win again. Like he's been pecking at the outsides for a while here, and I think guys like Jason Day, and some of these kind of middle guys start to wane a little bit. Like he'll come back. I mean, Phil Mickelson won a fucking Masters in 40, right? Like, come on. I mean, the kid's
look at Lee Westwood the last 2 weeks. I mean, I think golf guys peak with a few exceptions later. Is Tiger gonna ever make it back to a tournament?
I don't think so. No.
I'd like to think he'd be able to, but
I think he is fucked up.
This was bad, and he wasn't even healthy to begin with, right? This is pretty bad.
And the problem is now, like, okay, so he left the hospital yesterday and flew back to Florida. I mean, when did that crash happen?
Yeah, that's bad.
It was like he was in the hospital for like 3 weeks. That's not good, or 2 weeks or whatever. Like, I mean, they said that like it was not good. Like, he's lucky he's alive.
Oh yeah, his leg's in bad shape. So. And he's not. I mean, we know he's older. So,
and now that after this, there could be questions about was he asleep behind the wheel? Did he pass out? Did something happen? Like, and I don't think that. I mean, look, Tiger had his. He had his go at redemption. He won a Masters again. Everybody fell at his feet. It's over.
Yeah. It was a good little comeback there for Tiger for sure. And He will. That would be a shame that he goes out not on his own terms. Players shouldn't have to go out on terms that they can't control when they're legends like that.
I agree, but maybe maybe it was already over for him. I don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So for this weekend, we really don't have.
I think the problem with Tiger though is that he has this history of automobile related issues.
Wow.
That something like this happens, and people are like. But the thing is, he is such a transcendent athlete that people like. It was like when Trump said he could kill someone in the middle of the street.
Yeah,
I mean, Tiger might be on that level too.
Yes, it's true.
See, it's funny. Tom was saying he's going to be a volunteer at the Northern Trust River. I did the U.S. Senior Open here in Massachusetts in 2017. I had a blast. That was my inside the ropes experience. It was great. So I hope you enjoy that. It'll be fun. Anyway.
So we've had some fun doing like Sunday parlays. So without soccer this week, that takes one of the cogs out. One of your favorite cogs, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's English soccer is a lot of fun to bet on.
Well, so someone I know bets on the lower tiers. I don't know if you do any of that. You generally stick EPL, right?
Yeah. I mean, I made some money on MLS too, but I feel like that's like betting on the harness track when there's thoroughbred racing going on.
I think what we're going to have to do for this weekend is see where the tournament's at come Sunday or what the matchups are for the tournament. Maybe sprinkle in a little bit of NASCAR and a little bit of golf. And that'll be I think that's going to be our go-to for this Sunday. I don't know where it's going to fall or how things are going to look, but I think that's what we're going to be looking at for this week. Sub in the NCAA and see what's going on with the other two situations, and of course basketball, because the Knicks are going to play the Sixers again on Sunday, and that's going to be they'll be the underdog in a good matchup where they almost won the other day. So that'll be a good one to ponder come Sunday for us. So I think this weekend's going to be some fun, huh?
Oh, I would agree. You're going to have nonstop college basketball, NBA, NHL, NASCAR, golf. I mean, a year ago, do you think you would be saying that?
No, well, a year ago we didn't say it, but I think if you asked me a year ago, would I say it in a year? I would have said, "Oh yeah, absolutely, a year."
Well, that's because we were, again, we'll be back in like 3 weeks.
I thought we'd have, bigger capacities than we do now. Originally, if you told me a year ago, Dan, that the max you'd see in most states, excluding the Florida, Texas, would be like 20% for sporting events this year, right now, I would have said you're fucking crazy, right? I would have been like, if it takes that long, we are fucked. And guess what? Here we are, right? Because that's where we're at. So it's more crazier to me that this is where we're at a year later than anything, to be honest with you.
I agree. I mean, but the fact is that, so the NBA perfected the bubble, right? I mean, when they finished their season in Orlando.
The NBA and the NHL both did it. Perfect.
Right. And, it was not without, obviously they knew going into this season that there would be problems because they were going to travel and they were going to not technically require their players to stay, which is we're running into those things. And this is why the tournament was delayed by a day this year, right? Is to allow teams to bubble and to get ready and positioned in Illinois or in Indiana. And we'll see if this works. And if it does, hopefully we'll never have to deal with this again.
Yeah, and if you said like the season for basketball and hockey where it's going to be starting at zero capacity and like at 20 now, I mean, that's crazy, right? That's it. Like here, it's been a long go, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but it's very hard. It's still very hard. So I'm just glad at least we have this stuff on TV. We have the tournament on TV. The kids are able to play.
Yeah, I think there was no way the NCAA was going to not have a tournament this year, especially if they were going to go through a whole season. and yeah, you lose. I mean, you lose teams. I mean, like Duke dropping out of the ACC tournament for coronavirus reasons. So be it, whatever. So Duke wasn't ready to play in a tournament anyway. But I mean, you got 68 teams, right, that are ready to go and ready to make this work. And there's not going to be an asterisk for the champion, whoever wins this season, right? Whoever wins this tournament, I think it'll be like, all right, well, they won the 2021 tournament. Great.
Yeah. No, that's exactly it. So I don't know. I mean, it'd be nice to get the baseball season underway, and hopefully the rest of hockey and basketball could finish up without any interruption. I mean, it's promising so far, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you follow. I mean, I've said it before, but you follow the trajectory of the idea of doing this little, show or whatever you want to call it, and we were fucking miserable a year ago, and we're like, what's going to happen when? And we were taking bets on when things were going to come back and if they were going to come back. Yeah. And granted, yes, it has taken a year, but I mean, it almost feels normal.
Remember,
it doesn't feel normal when you put it on TV.
Yeah, but the timing of things being on when they're supposed to be on feels normal. Remember when we're sitting here and NASCAR came back first, and it was like Wednesday night races,
yes.
And we were like, "Oh my god, there's a Wednesday night NASCAR race! This is the best thing I've seen in my entire life."
I even went on the Post website and printed out the New York Post bracket just so. I almost went to the store and bought one so I could feel it under my fingers and be like, "Oh my god, I can actually fill out a bracket this year!" Like, you can do things that are somewhat normal. You can do a bracket pool. You can bust your friends' balls, whatever,
Right.
Like, you can watch basketball for, I mean, think about it. Like, you just didn't have that last year. And it was tough.
Yeah. No, and not having things we're used to at certain times.
Right. It exacerbated the problem while you're also trying to avoid not, getting ill or whatever it was, right?
Yeah. And right. So you're trying to avoid that, plus trying to live and you don't have anything to enjoy yourself. So at least we have this stuff back, which is great. Greg Gumbel looks like he's 900 years old. Which Gumbel? Is that Greg Gumbel? I don't know which Gumbel. I don't know which Gumbel and Gumbel.
Brian Gumbel.
I think that's
Brian Gumbel's the one on HBO.
Okay, so this is Greg.
He's the smugger one.
I think he is 100 years old. That's the problem. So at the half, Norfolk State 36, Appalachian State 20.
Wow, 56 total points at the half.
And the Knicks are trying to lose their game. They're up 94-93 to the Magic with 13 seconds to go. And of course,
points at the half.
Yeah, it's not good. Of course, I have the Knicks on the 5.5 over, so that's not. I'm sorry, spread. So that's not
spread. Good. They call it a spread,
Yes.
Just because there's a plus next to it, doesn't mean
minus in that case. So that's not going to bode well for me. That one's going to be cooked. The Knicks Pelicans parlay will be cooked.
So high school football is back in Massachusetts. It's very odd to be, driving by high schools, and seeing kids playing football in March.
March, huh?
So it must be the same. Yeah, it is March. Get that?
Yeah.
I have all the days of. He is old, but I mean, I'd imagine that they're going to try to get a season in of some sort. Let the seniors play.
Why not? I mean, who cares about the time of the year? If they can get them in, that'd be great.
No, I agree.
And there's the thing, like not playing has an impact on the top tier athlete who is trying to get a scholarship to college.
Yeah, right? It's like telling your first grader that he can't go to school.
Right. Only he doesn't give a crap.
Well, he just doesn't realize that he's not getting what he should be. So wait, let's back up a little bit. You had your Final Four. So who's in your final and who's your champion?
So this is my bracket that I put Baylor as the champ against Gonzaga.
Oh, that's right. You did say that. Sorry.
Right. So I did. So that was my my upset bracket. I've got a standard Gonzaga championship bracket where they were with Gonzaga, Alabama, Baylor. Illinois,
With who was the last one?
I think it's my same Final Four though. Gonzaga, Alabama, Baylor, Illinois.
I guess the question is if there's if there's a 5 or above seed in the Final Four, who could it be? Right?
Oh,
I don't know the answer.
I like that question. I like that's a good one. Could it?
I don't know.
See, I think I read a bunch of stuff where they actually think Creighton's going to lose in the first round.
I agree. Yeah, I got
that too.
Santa Barbara.
Well, USC would have to beat Kansas.
No, USC. I mean, I could see Oregon going.
Oregon would have to beat Kansas. That's the only thing.
And Purdue's a 4 seed. I mean, I could see Purdue going to the
Texas Tech would have to be. Texas Tech would have to.
You're gonna have to. Excuse me while you're reading.
No, that one's not bad. Texas Tech's not bad, but Arkansas they'd have to get by first. Texas Tech would have to beat Arkansas and probably Ohio State. How about no, I don't know. You know, if St. Bonaventure, that's kind of a weaker side. So like they could they could beat Michigan and Florida State, and then Alabama would be their tough then they'd be in the have to beat Alabama to get in. And they're a 9 seed. That would be an interesting road if St. Bonaventure was able to do it.
Probably be like a good sign the end of the world is upon us.
What if St. Bonaventure made it?
Yeah, I mean,
maybe so. I mean, hey, look, it's 2021. There's SDSU again.
I don't know why Arkansas has such a bad rap. Yeah, why don't you talk about while we're reviewing this? Why don't you give a 5-second overview of your trip to Las Vegas?
So Mr. Soriano and I went out to Vegas, which was a lot busier than we were in August when we were out there last. A lot busier. And like foot traffic wise, in the hotels on the weekend at night, downtown on Fremont, foot traffic wise, very busy. I have to say though, like casinos were normal, like calm, people following the rules they were supposed to be. But in talking to the dealers and in talking to the workers, it's still not making money, right? So the people coming down are making their weekend trips, their drives from California, Utah, Arizona, and they're coming in just for like the $20 room rates to hang out, to get out of the house because they can go do something now, right? As opposed to a year ago. And they're not really gambling or spending money on much nice dinner, right? They're just coming down to hang out. So that's some of the concern there. But I think it's on the upswing. I mean, there's people, right? So there's people there. The thing about Vegas, and near and dear to my heart, I love Vegas. It's a hospital. This has to work. If people aren't going and spending money, the town is shot, man. People are going to be all out of job. They continue to be out of jobs. They're going to lose their houses. There'll be no other industry in that town. There's nothing else. Vegas has to recover for that town to make it. And I think they're going to. They always pivot to what the hot thing is. Remember in the early 2000s, it was the poker rooms, right? Now they're almost all gone, or small poker rooms, because that kind of came back. Now it's the sports betting. You can attach your mobile phone to your betting account at the MGM. You can fund your stuff at the window at your app on the kiosk. And the sports books are getting the Circa. Oh my God, the highlight of the trip was the Circa downtown. The sports book there is like 3 stories. It's outstanding. We didn't even see that. We couldn't even get into the pool because they charge admission if you're not staying there, but it looks tremendous. So to come up with different things to attract people has always been Vegas's MO, but the sports books is where they're going to start looking to invest their money in now, because that's what people are interested in, right? So I don't question Vegas being able to pivot to be relevant. I just question the fact that we need to get folks vaccinated and get them able to travel again to get to Vegas, because if people show up, they'll be okay, right? But the other weird thing is, the one weird thing I'll tell you is, we're used to everything being there open 24/7, or even restaurants being open late, things you can eat after 9 o'clock. After 9 o'clock, you can't get food.
Yeah.
Nothing's open. The crack shop closed at like 8 o'clock at over at Park MGM. If you wanted to get something late at night, you can't. And just that's like most of the places. So that's one thing. If the business is not there for these folks to be open late, like, you know, me and my coffee, Starbucks is closed like 3 o'clock in the afternoon at the MGM. You can't get a Starbucks after 3 o'clock.
Yeah, that's because you're supposed to be drinking whiskey at 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Vegas.
I know, and I was, but I'm just saying, I looked around, I was like, shit, Starbucks is closed. What if I wanted a fucking coffee? You know?
Well, what if then you go and gamble and then have someone bring you a coffee and the waitresses will make fun of you because you're not ordering whiskey.
But hey, they survived the meltdown in 2008. They're going to survive now. It's going to come back. I can't wait for all of us to be able to go back out there and have some fun. I'd love to do this NCAA weekend. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I've been out there for work during AFC or during Championship Sunday on the NFL side, and it is bananas. Like, if you think like regular Sundays are crazy in Vegas, man, oh man. Like, just the intensity and every TV, you got the TVs on the gambling floor, you got the TVs in the bar, you got the sports books. I think that's the other thing, like you were saying, is that sports books have evolved now from, just like, a panel of TVs and maybe like one thing of lines to just like an entire fucking world. And,
right.
DraftKings has opened a gambling hall. I wouldn't even call it a casino in Seabrook, 30 minutes from where I live. And, it's basically an OTB with, a couple blackjack tables and a roulette table. But and a poker room, of course, the poker room. But what I find interesting is that, you can place bets at a window, right? Like, like you used to. You can place bets on a kiosk, or you can do it on your phone, right? So my thing is like, if you're, why wouldn't you do it on your phone regardless if you're in New Hampshire or Virginia or wherever, just because it's way more easy to A, place the bet, and B, track it.
Right.
And,
it's fun to get the paper at the window, right?
No, I agree.
So
I mean,
you can do both, because like you said, you can go to the window, attach it to your app, be like, here's my player's card. You get the paper, and it's on your app for live. So you can do both. You can do both. Yep. So the window, you just got to have it attached. You actually have to. You sign up. You go to the window. They do some stuff with your ID. It all gets attached, and then you're good. And everything you do at the window is you can see on your app, and vice versa, right? So that's what I like. The fact they've been able to figure out the dynamic part of the sports book for Vegas is very important.
Well, I mean, I would think then that way, let's say you play, like, so the thing is like the last time I placed an in-person football bet, right? It was in Vegas, and I took the Giants +7 over the Seahawks, probably almost, 7 or 8 years ago. And the Giants were, scored 2 touchdowns in the first 5 minutes of the game. And I had to sit around and wait at Legacy Stadium and pound beers. Turns out the guy next to me is trying to make up for his weekend, grew up fucking in like Pearl River or some shit. And I'm like, dude, next thing 10 Bud Lights later, it's, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, mountain time. And, my Mrs. Diamond is like, what the fuck happened to you? I'm like, But you had to stay there and wait so you cash the ticket, right? The great thing about the app is that I could be sitting in Massachusetts right now, win the Michigan State bet tonight, and then cash out tomorrow. Right. Without having to get to a casino or mail in a ticket or any of that. So it's important that, like, so again, if you want the experience of going to the window and placing a bet with a teller, and then not having to wait there for the game, right? Or, place a bet on a Sunday game or whatever it is, that it has to be linked to your phone. So one way or another, you get the experience, but, you still, I'm not picking on Pearl River. I love Pearl River. They had a big week, St. Patrick's Day. But I don't know. I mean, it's the same thing like at Saratoga, right? You could sit in the back and then place your bets, walk to the rail and watch thing, or you can go to the window and actually call it out, feel like a man. Right? Which I fully intend on doing this summer. Now that Yankee Stadium is open, I can almost guarantee you that Saratoga will be open in July.
Oh, yeah, for outdoor, for sure.
Yeah, because that is happening this summer.
Yeah,
August.
Saratoga would just be absolutely.
We're going to play Saratoga National, and then we're going to go to the track for 2 days.
Oh, my God. That'd be absolutely outstanding. Are you kidding?
Then I'm going to take my kids to Niagara Falls because fucking America.
They would actually enjoy that. That's a good little spot if you're going to do that.
Whatever.
I would,
it's going to be really great driving across New York State.
I would think. So the Knicks won by 1.
How about that?
So, 3 NBA games remain tonight. So do you like, just a question, Lakers, Hornets? Lakers, fine. That's fine. The spread's a little much at 7. At 7.
I would still take the Lakers.
The over's 224.5.
Under.
The under.
I don't know. Are the Hornets any good? I doubt it.
The Hornets are actually so they're 20-19, but they're a little bit hot. They've won 4 of their last 5, but against a bunch of crappy teams: Dallas, Detroit, Toronto / Tampa, and Sacramento. Then they lost to the Denver Nuggets pretty bad, the one good team they played in the last 5. So I don't think they're for real by any stretch of the imagination.
Still take the Lakers.
I was just trying to think about the spread or not. I don't know.
What's the better odds?
Oh, the spread for sure, because the Lakers are minus 286. Obviously, the spread's minus 110. So
I would take the Lakers.
Interesting. Well, let's see. We'll see what happens. The under 224.5 would be interesting. I know.
I mean, these NBA fucking over-unders are just...
Yeah, you don't know. I think it's low because I'm looking at the scores for these teams.
See, I mean, the problem is like you're getting conditioned by this, these 4 playing games.
Yeah. Right.
And then tomorrow, like Alabama's going to win by like 40 points. You're going to be like, fuck.
Right. Exactly. So I don't know. I don't know what's going. I don't know.
That's Casey. What does he say? He said the Lakers are in a back-to-back. So I still take it.
So I didn't. I actually. So it's moot now. But I took the Knicks Pelicans in a parlay, but the Knicks didn't cover the spread, so that's dead. I think the Pelicans are finally going to break through one of these nights against the Trailblazers. Maybe not. Well, it'd be funny if it was tonight. And then I didn't do anything. Pelicans. But yeah, maybe the Trailblazers are the way to go. I don't know.
Didn't Casey have some sort of massive parlay tonight?
He did. He's got like a 6. I don't know. Is it 8-leg parlay? What is that? Is it still alive, Casey? What is that?
Yeah, the Islanders.
2.5. Oh, Trailblazers, Hawks, Panthers, Penguins, Islanders, Lightning, Hurricanes.
Busted.
Is it dead? Yeah, because the Islanders is dead. Oh well. Oh goodness gracious! Your last game's I believe has started, Dan. So.
Oh, is it? I don't know.
I don't know what channel. Which one of the 17 channels is it on?
You said it was on True TV or something.
No, that was the other one. See, it gets confusing. The last game is on TBS. They haven't tipped off yet, so it's coming. So that's one left there. Oh, Casey still has Powerball. That's good. Oh my God,
Jesus!
This might be a marathon. I knew this was going to be a marathon show, and now we're at a good.
We're talking about Powerball. What numbers you got? I want to talk about?
Other odds on those numbers? Oh, a lot.
Let's talk about a great parlay for the weekend. Let's see, Friday and Saturday, Liberty on the money line and St. Bonaventure on the money line.
Oh, there we go.
That'll pay you something.
Liberty and St. Bonaventure. Oh my God.
Winthrop, Wisconsin, Liberty, and St. Bonaventure.
Why not? Why not?
That was my profit boost on DraftKings.
Yeah, I got that still going. I haven't picked that one yet.
I got Michigan State in the over tonight. Let's see. Ooh, then I have a massive. So I got Rutgers on the money line, Loyola -5.5 over Georgia Tech. That's in the bag. Alabama in the spread over Iona. San Diego State, Purdue, Arkansas, and Iowa. Let's go.
Huh.
If that hits, I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Oh God, that'd be absolutely tremendous.
It would be unheard of, actually.
Yes, it would be. Absolutely would be.
I do like those picks, though. I do, but I was scared off of Houston 20 points. You know, it's a lot. I mean, people are kind of down on the Cougars.
Right.
Why?
Yeah. What can you do?
I thought about taking Houston for the Final Four, but I don't know. I mean, it's a tough run. They got to beat Illinois, you know, and you know they're you know, what are they? What are they? What conference are they in? The American Athletic Conference, or whatever it is.
Right.
Is that what it is? I don't even know.
Something
Houston
like
Cougars.
that.
Let's look it up. Houston Cougars. Basketball. Yeah, the American Athletic Conference, the AAC. I was right. Look at that. And a 2 seed nonetheless. I don't know. They should win tomorrow, obviously, but I don't know if they're going to cover the spread. I mean, 20 points is 20 points. Houston is 7-1 against the spread in their last 8 games, though. I don't think they had 20-point spreads. That's the only difference.
Right. Exactly. Who's cooking over there? Mrs. Diamond cooking?
Nah, she's just banging stuff around.
There you go.
Well, I'm gonna go watch this game. What do you
say? We'll let you watch the game. We'll be back next week.
Let me watch the game. That's nice.
Yeah, we'll let you watch the game. We'll be back next week. We'll do a full baseball preview, and then we'll catch up on the NCAA next week. So it's been fun, Diamond.
We'll be lamenting our broken brackets.
Right, we will be. Thanks for hanging with us this evening, everyone, on the Grand Central Sports Hub. We'll see you next week.